Chamge jitab kalenjin mang'ung'ui tugul ole imite koibaibai ak igere ketesiet nebo Kass TV itagatin logoiwekab emet kigurena Jacqueline Arusein. Akon kateunet President William Ruto eng neranikab emoni komat koyan keboisie eng kasuletab yautikab chemarget missing ko netinyegei ak polatet asikotestai kobit kalyet eng emet. Kotinygei ak Ruto nekang'alali igorta nebo konoretab ZP Kosgei inendet ko kwandab neki MP nebo Tindiret Henry Kosgei komagat eng ministry nebo ripsetab kalyet eng emet orit koib kwakoutik chekimen chebo kergong'et eng biik tugul chekinyorchin lelutik chebo chemarget.
Nakubaliana na yale yamesemekana ya kwamba we do not want a violent nation. Shida ya dunia hii, mtu akikosa mpango, akikosa akili, kama akili yake ni kidogo, anatafuta fujo. Ndio mnaona iko goons all over the place. Because our goons ni watoto innocent. Wanatumiwa na wanasiasa bankrupt. Mwenye hawana akili, anaenda anapanga fujo. Napiga watu, naleta hasara. So, Bwana Murkomen na jeshi yako ya polisi, goons wote wanyoroshwe kiboko. Kwa sababu na watafutwe wale wenye kulipa hawa watoto. Yes, watafutwe. Kwa sababu huwezi kuacha mtoto yako nyumbani, unaenda kulipa mtoto ya mwingine, unampatia mawe, unampatia panga, rungu, aende apigane na watu wengine. Why? Na sisi ni inchi ambayo tuko na taratibu, tuko na heshima, tunafuata sheria. Sisi ni watu ambao wanaamini demokrasia. So, as an organized society, a responsible country, a society that believes in the rule of law, that respects the rights of everybody, we want going forward to respect the rights of everybody. Mimi nimeamua ya kwamba katika taifa letu la Kenya, hata wale walifanya maandamano 2017 huko na hawa wengine wote wale waliuawa tutawalipa fidia familia zao. Wale ambao walipoteza mali yao tutawalipa. Wale ambao walijeruhiwa tutawalipa. Lakini tunataka kufanya hivyo ndio tufunge hiyo chapter, tuwe ni watu wangwana wa kutembea kama wanademokrasia bila ya kupigana, bila ya fujo, bila ya vita, ndio Kenya iweze kusonga mbele.
Kagogon gurset President William Ruto engandoik chebo isiechin serikali koboto chekikilewen eng komoswek cheterter koker kole kaboisiechi biikab emet kou ole magat asikoityi bandab tai biik tugul. Kamwa Ruto kole chang kandoik chemitei eng bororiet ole manyalu kotiegei inendet eng kasulaitab boisionik chebo bandab tai.
Kagas ngalek chekaomwa biikab Nandi eng yu. Amwa ngalekab Keben dam no moche kenyoru beek, mi ngalekab barabarosiek, mi ngalekab maendeleo chebo koroni tugul ni. Ngalal komie. Atinye biik kabisa kiongozi chechang che mameche koimgei bichu akomi. Waiso. Ongen Felix. Ongen arap Kosgei Felix. Paulita nama Paulit. Ongen ole inene kwerie serikali anan mongen. Komeche sibatebe rani alechi sin ka ikanye ketebe na maswali Nandi akibunu Nandi sinye ketebe na maswali kebo kasi gani. Anane. Maine ndaka ko chulchul ngalechu mingechen ning yu sine kiachul oleo ko nekonget otar biju. Tinye biik chechang chemi serikali chekwerie. Mameche kosiel kasit eng yu ako mitei asiste arachi emet nin. Amache ateben aki. Tos mongen akwai kole kinyorunde serikali? Tos mongen? Makiawe acheng emet olin, ndakikibir acheke kikinyoru. Makiawe alach kolen alake atineni. Komaalach acheng choronok rani makitinye serikali. Anane. Olenin kikichengeni kinye komokichengeni ra. Orona ogere ami kesumet ogere ka aitolo arakuchun. Nice. Awakas ngalion kama Musalia. Kumeche kesire ra yemining, meche kesire ra 60-70% siko papichu kopa one way. Akapangani kapanganak. Mosich wasiwasi. Kiapangani aine kote kotemenani. Wale na batabi man chekisindani ketugul ngomagere. So chu alak chu mengen amutakra ngitebe maswali komengen.
Eng kasarta ni kokiborionchi yautik chebo kambakoshek chekokoib kobit belsetab sugulishek chechang eng emet. Kokakobor kaimetabkei President William Ruto eng nekamwa kole magat koityi kamanut sigik kotigonetab lagok eng kasarwek tugul. Kamwa Ruto kole chang kora ateboshek cheyachen cheityin lagok eng kasari kobun social media ole magat kecheng ortinwek cheimuch keboishe kechikil tuguk chegere lagok eng social media asikerib atebosiekwak.
Akorib lagok. Ogere emet ni ka kobit igere lakwet nekasomani ipkobel chepkamet anan ipkobel nekatupcho eng sukuli. Kumetebe kenye sigindet ngailein ka lakwani kepkobelso yun. Kobokomwo metebe ke sigindet ile kane lakwani because we must also take responsibility as parents for our children. We cannot surrender our children to others. And we cannot be blaming everybody except yourself as a parent. Everybody, raising children, raising a family, as was before, is a whole society endeavor. That's how we grew up. We grew up knowing that children belong to a society, and we mentor them together. So we must, as a Kenyan society, learn to bring up our children. Others, UK, for example, and others have already started to limit access to some of the social media platforms that are radicalizing our children, that are making our children do things that society can never accept. Many countries are beginning to take action. It's time you as parents and as leaders, we need to have a conversation. How are we going to go forward as a nation? Tutaenda mbele namna gani?
Kakengaita kurset eng biikab emet koker kole kaek kiptainik eng namunetab korotik eng katarchinet nebo keker kele kanyor eng katarchinetab keker kele kanyor toretet biik chemakchingei toretet nebo korotik mising ko biik chetinye miondo nebo sickle cell eng emet. Ng'ololjin sirikab logoiwek kasarta nekakibwoti anan igorto notok bo Sickle Cell Awareness Day nekakiyai eng sukulitab muswoknotet nebo RVTTI nemitei eng kanasetab Eldoret, komwa ofisayat netonondojin tetutikab konyoiset eng Ampath Alex Gashao kole tomo konyor changindab biik eng emoni naet akobo miondo nebo sickle cell, kit nekamwa kole nyalu keleta naet koityi biik akobo mionotok tesetai kobete biik sobet kotomo kenai.
So today is June 19th, and every June 19th we come together to commemorate our sickle cell disease warriors.
Alex Kashoa ko kanyoindet neboishe ak kibagengeitab Ampath en emoni ole kamwa kole iboru chikilishet kole biik cheite million 7 kotinye miondo nebo sickle cell en ng'wendet ko kebebertab 80% en bogol en choto komite continent nebo Africa ko biik cheite 400,000 en choto kobeti sobet kenyit age tugul kosubkei ak mionoto. Kwen emetab Kenya ko lagok cheite 14,000 chekesiche kotinye mionoto kenyit age tugul.
So sickle cell disease is a congenital blood disorder, which means that the patients, all our warriors are born with it. And globally, we know that there's some estimates that have been done, and more than 7 million patients are living with sickle cell disease globally. About 80% of these are found in sub-Saharan Africa. About 500,000 babies are born with sickle cell disease annually. Again, about 80% of these are in sub-Saharan Africa. Lastly, about 400,000 mortalities happen annually. Again, 70% in sub-Saharan Africa. So Kenya being part of sub-Saharan Africa, we know that we are riddled with sickle cell disease. Coming more locally, in Kenya, we estimate that about 14,000 babies are born in the country. And the Ministry of Health has mapped out about 17 counties within our country that are highly burdened with sickle cell disease.
Ikorata kayai kipagengeit nebo Ampath en kipagenge ak sipitalitab Rafa nemiten kanasetab Eldoret en sukulitab musoknotet nebo RVTTI kokakiboisie eng namunetab korotik chekibendi keboisie ketoreti biik chetinye mionoto bo sickle cell. Kini kamwa Kashua kole tomo konyor chongindab biik kakuyet akobo mionoto.
So unfortunately, currently there's a lot of myths and misconceptions around sickle cell disease, and therefore one of the mainstream things that we are doing through the Ministry of Health is raising awareness by doing capacity building, which basically means training, and we train both healthcare providers and community health promoters. We know that the current government has put a lot of emphasis on primary healthcare, with community health promoters, rather CHPs being the key stakeholders, and through them we hope that at the community level, through that community engagement and linkage to care, we hope that then the awareness can be raised.
En kasarata komwa Nelly Chuma ak Kelvin Bett kobun sipitalitab Rafa nemiten Eldoret kole takomiten maket nebo keityi biikab bororiet mising ko eng letaitab naet akobo miondo nebo sickle cell.
Rafa Hospital and Clinics, we believe that treatment goes beyond this, and by doing so we are so passionate in participating in community activities such as this, so as to give back to the community.
Working in hospital, we've realized that a lot of patient needs blood, but the demand of blood and the blood that we have is we have low blood compared to the demands. So we are requesting Kenyans and every person where you are, if you are called upon to donate blood, kindly donate blood. We help save life.
Kongete sukulitab musoknotet nebo RVTTI nemiten kanasetab Eldoret en county nebo Uasin Gishu, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass TV, kanenyu ko Timothy Kiplimo.
Kakejer ribikab ngororek anan artok eng Kerio Valley kokimit baetab ngororek chebo chego asikonyorune kelchin aldaetab chego. Kosubkei ak ofisiat kobun kibagengeitab Kelcop eng Elgeyo Marakwet che karobtoi ngororek koityi grupishek eng Cheptebo komwa county coordinator nebo kibagengeinotok Dorothy Bomet kole tesetai kibagengeinotok kokochini kanetisiet ribichotok bo ngororek akobo kamanutietab ribsetab ngororekab chego.
Eng kakwautikab kikimit baetab ngororek chebo chego eng Kerio Valley eng county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet kotestai kibagengetab Kenya Livestock Commercialization Program Kelcop komi eng kibagenge ak Cheptebo AIC Rural Development Center korobtoi ngororek chotok koityi grupishek cheterter chebo chepyosok ak barnotik eng komosata. Agenge eng grupishek chotok kanyor kelchin noto ko nebo Kamoi Self Help Group nemite Tambach Ward, nekamwa Teresia Konga kole baetab ngororek chotok chebo chego kikotoret grupinoto mitei icheket konyor kelchinoik cheterter.
Kamwa kongoi kabisa eng Cheptebo amu kanyoru nego aeng, kanyoru netupchar nyiyem arap sit ak kanyoru nyokee sai. So abwati ale ngete rani ane aigo kuni kotoreto chekab artane amu kono nguvu. Kawa akine akerkeitu ak lakwet nemining. Ko ngakerkeitu ak lakwet nemining ameche tuguk chetinye nguvu sitokoteswa betusiek. So kamwachi kongoi kabisa Cheptebo amu kirib nechungor nekararan, kakonech nego chetililen kabisa, kibakekiligei kabisa keribe.
Kosubkei ak coordinator nebo Kelcop eng county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet, Dorothy Bomet kokamwa kole tetutyonoto bo baetab ngororek kobo kotoret kabatik chetokotauge eng baetab ngororek amu nyumnyum ribsetab kiagichoto.
Tunajua hii wakulima wadogo kama mbuzi, kondoo haitaji shamba kubwa, si kama ng'ombe. So Kelcop walichoose small stock kwa sababu Kelcop inasaidia wale vulnerable households. Na wakipata mbuzi haitaji shamba kubwa, haitaji chakula mingi. Na mkulima yule wa chini anaweza fuka, hata youth, hata wale disabled wanaweza fuka. That's why project yetu ili choose small stock ambayo ni dairy cow na kondoo.
Cheptebo AIC Rural Development Center ko agenge eng ketesiosiekab kabatisiet chekiityi koshinet ak kibagengenoto bo Kelgop koyochi breeding ng'ororechoto ole kamwa Center Director nebo ketesionoto Joseph Kimeli kole tindoi kamanutik chechang mising baetab ng'ororek chebo chego ngikerchin ak baetab kiagik alak.
Tet ngerib komie kokonu akoi lita oeng eng betut. Ako lita oeng chebo artet yani ko kimbo oeng. Ko kimbo oeng ako chetiken kabisa. Chetiken kabisa yani chengirongchi kidogo chesiling chaik ko kiek soso. Sasa dairy goods kotinye ko kororon kabisa. Ako ndenyoru lita moja koime kaita tugul. So aramache amwochi wakulima alech ongenam dairy goods amu toreti nutrition nebo lagok eng gaa ako family tugul. Ako nginyoru extra ialde komowolune siling 100 lita.
Kong'ete county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyu ko Andrew Kimeto.
Kakonde siyet nebo kayanchinet kibagengeit nebo Kenya Private Sector Alliance ak United Nations Development Program asikomuktechi kocheng akomong ortinwek chemuktechi neranik konyor boisiet. Kayanchinonoto komuktechi neranik konyor naet akobo ortinwek chemuktechin konyor boisionik eng emoni ak ematunwekab sang.
Let me begin by saying that the past financial year has robustly demonstrated the resilience and agility of Kenya's private sector. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics Economic Survey 2026, Kenya's economy maintained a steady and healthy growth trajectory, achieving a real GDP expansion of 4.6%. This momentum was broad-based, fueled by a dynamic 55% contribution from the service sector, led by a remarkable recovery in accommodation and food services, alongside steady performances in finance, insurance, and ICT. Crucially, macro stability was further anchored by easing inflationary pressures, which dropped to an average of 4.1%, down from 4.5% the previous year, alongside a stabilizing exchange rate environment and a progressive lowering of the central bank rate to ease commercial lending rates. This growth is a testament to the sheer adaptability of the Kenya private sector, which continued to anchor the country's economic gravity, even while navigating complex global and domestic crosswinds. Over the past year, the private sector has successfully managed supply chain bottlenecks, such as elevated freight costs arising from regional and maritime geopolitical tensions. Enterprises also proactively aligned with shifting global regulatory frameworks, such as the European Union's deforestation regulation and evolving international aid mandates. Domestically, KEPSA aggressively advocated for corporate stability amidst policy unpredictability and continued to push for the systematic resolution of outstanding government pending bills to unlock vital market liquidity.
So this next-gen KE youth employment in partnership with private sector initiative started a few months back. Actually, it started towards the end of last year. And really the idea in discussion with the government was to see how we can support creating more employment for the youth in this country. And I'm very sure that all of us in this room, we agree that if we have to name 3 key development priority for this country, youth employment will be one of them. I think you have seen in the video the head of state saying 800,000, it's actually now 1 million. That's the number we use. 1 million youth entering the job market every year with only 200,000 jobs available. So there's a gap every year of 800,000 jobs. With a growing population, this gap cannot remain just an issue of unemployment. It has consequences. It has consequences on the fact that these people are not entering the economy, so they're not becoming productive assets, but it has also social and security consequences. we all know what happened when, the young people, dissatisfaction becomes demonstrations, become frustrations. So we are trying with this initiative to complement some of the work that is already been done. There is this internship program in the public sector. There is the NIOTA program, which is focusing on entrepreneurship, providing young people with opportunity to create their own business. So this comes very much as in complementarity of that.
Kaindo jirani President William Ruto yatetab tuyet nebo kapkirwok chebunu Afrika netakchingei chengetab walutik chebo kirwagutik kobun oretab alternative dispute resolution. Kacher President Ruto kirwogikab kapkirwok koker kole kaimuch konyor biikab emet imanda keboisie ortinwek alak tugul chebitunotin. Kamwa Ruto kole chengetab imanda kobun ortinwek cheterter chemabo kapkirwok inege ko oret nenyalu kisub mising ko chotok chebitu imanda.
Alternative dispute resolution is not a convenience for the powerful. It is the only scalable road to justice for citizens, the trader, the farmer, the widow, the neighbor. A justice the ordinary can only wait for and only the wealthy can afford is not justice. It is inequity. The challenges before our judiciaries are shared. So then must be our solutions. This summit is Pan-African judicial diplomacy in action. I have undertaken some of the most difficult policy positions in Kenya. If I did not have an independent professional judiciary, I would not succeed. Yes. I will give you two examples. As a country, we have been struggling with housing and citizens living in squalor. Just for numbers, we have in Kenya 114 informal settlements. 1,114 informal settlements. We have 7 million people living in slums. It is not something that I should say, but that's what it is. And therefore, it was absolutely necessary for us, and we have been trying to settle this housing question for close to 30 years. But this time round, I said I would. And we went to Parliament, we changed the law, we brought into the equation a housing fund, a housing levy, and a whole infrastructure to deliver on it.
Itangateng logoiwekab radioshek ole kachut betutab aeng eng betutab rani eng kiwanjetab Nyayo Trails chebo emoni chekileweni timetab Kenya newendi kabelishetab Commonwealth Games chetun keyoe eng Scotland taonitab Glasgow eng arawetab 8 eng labatetab 10,000 meters nebo kwanyik kokasir kabelishet Lois Chemnong akanam namba eng Diana Wanzia.
Lois Chemnong ndio huyo representing the prisons aboard of a prison naona tayari Catherine Dereba ametoka kule juu kuja kushangilia gold, ndio huyo amesema ni gold victory. Diana Wanza huyo police, and huyo police anachukua nafasi ya pili.
Kamaya la pateta Amchawe kichoba kongoi. Amun nimedefend title yangu ya last year. Yeah.
Kekasta ano ibelishe ra?
Yeah, kama ya kakipar chuka kityo. Yeah.
Alright. Kemuchi ba kao kabiletab ke ak field notok ni komiten ra kobaten ketinye the final laps ko kelabat kabisa is sprinten. Ko kepangan kou notok?
Kama pangan kityo ko konyon nagjager borto lami. Yeah, kama mi prepared en racing. Yeah.
Alright. Ako kesir kabelishet kakiboisien kelewen timit notok newendi Commonwealth. Tos ibongoni iwe Commonwealth?
Awendi angalali ak coach nanyun ngoyan awendi. Yeah.
So tomo inai kot iwendi?
Tomanai. Yeah.
Kong'eten iroyu ingele mewendi Commonwealth ichopchinigei ibongochinigei labatet ainon eng tai?
Actually, alapati on 28, which is next week, Capone. Okay. Yeah. And then after that, maybe I prepare a chop to marathon of Chicago. Yeah.
All right. Ikosto ano form nengung bete kenyini. Age labat niya ichepchepitu betutab rain.
Yeah, bye niya amun kanyo na defending title na nyo. Kanotag tanagomaje.
At least, from last season, Nila una train, but the experience you don't know how to run, And when you compete, the more you get the confidence, you know the techniques, the strategies to apply, and at least it's working. And my training, now you have to train like a professional athlete. And being here, I'm really happy, and I know more will come. Okay, with that, because I know my coach is watching, so we have to go and sit down to analyze the race and see the strengths, the weaknesses, and the area to work on. And we will be back strong.
Chitab kalenjin kakituk chotok emetab logoiwek chok chebo emet ak ureriosiek chekakimuch keibun kong'ete studio nebo Kass TV. Kongoi missing aburenden kaikonech iker logoiwekab emet. Kikurenan Jacqueline Arusei ak amagun kit age tugul nemie.